Welcome to Manhwa Recaps, spoilers ahead, watch out, and take care. Huge shout out and special thanks to the channel members. The series starts with a man talking about how war, famine, and climate change are problems that will go away, as from this moment forward he, and the rest of his kind will cease the centuries of indifference, and step in to help them all. We see him doing some kind of global broadcast, as he tells them all that he's speaking for every single mage. This is the Grand Mage Jong Ui Hyuk. Right around the time that humanity's self-inflicted problems were driving civilization straight towards collapse, the mages ended up revealing themselves. As we see Ui Hyuk saving a little boy, we learn how the problems everyone thought were impossible to solve vanish like magic. Rather, it's because they were solved by actual magic to begin with. The world, after having been saved by magic, went into an unprecedented golden age. Grand Mage Ui Hyuk led the mages to save the world, and share magic with it, becoming the greatest, most honored, and most beloved person on earth. And yet, he says there are still way too many problems in the world that need magic, and he can't solve them all on his own, so he needs someone more righteous and wise to carry out his will. He looks down at the boy he saved, saying that he needs his help, as he, the greatest Grand Mage, will make him the second greatest Grand Mage, and when that time comes, he needs him to help promise him. The little boy's name is Eugen. Eugen smiles, saying, of course, making a promise with his master. We get a time skip of 26 years later, and we hear a woman's voice in pain, begging out for help. She's crying, saying that she needs to be spared if something's wrong. She can't move her leg, and her senses feel off. She doesn't want to die yet. A disfigured hand grabs the top of her head as she begs, and pleads to be spared. He watches her get turned into human spaghetti right in front of his very eyes. He says that he can't believe that shit actually exists. He thought it was just some childish urban legend, wandering around hunting down any mage they see with gruesomely bizarre magic. The one, and only stain on the Grand Mage's record, his discarded disciple Eugen. Damn bro is scary. The mage falls to the ground, yelling not to get closer, saying that they could talk this out. Eugen slowly creeps up as he shoots out an attack, saying that he told him not to move. The attack lands as the mage starts to run. The man says he thought he could believe anything that happened in the world, since magic exists after all. As he says this, we see Eugen warped from the attack, but still stretches his hands out, and the man says that this is nothing more than a hideous abomination that definitely can't be labeled as magic. Eventually all the screaming stops as we see people in a workshop down below. They wonder if they're really being rescued, and the door opens. They get excited, saying that this means they truly are being saved, and that their slave life is finally over. What they see is Eugen sticking his head into the door, saying, "Ah, found you." Sometime later outside we see police, and medics all on the scene. A man's explaining to the detective in charge that they've all been driven into extreme shock from long-term isolation in a confined space, but no life-threatening injuries among the kidnapping victims. More importantly, he just can't get used to all the people who have been turned into liquid spaghetti, and there's only one mage they know who could do something like that. We then hear Eugen calling out to the detective, who we learned his name Kim Sung-hae. She says that she knows the truth as they're not in shock from being confined. As Eugen walks over, he says they meet again, and he thanks her for her hard work while waving at her. Sung-hae says that she definitely feels like there's more to their PTSD. He asks how the kidnapping victims are, and she tells him that they're all fine as there's no life-threatening issues. Eugen sighs, saying that is a complete relief. The second the door opened, they were foaming up the mouth, and screaming. It was complete chaos. He thought that they'd been tortured, so he called the police first, just in case it was too late. He then holds up one of his human centipede amalgamations, saying that these mages kidnapped homeless folks, and runaway teens, then locked them up, and forced them to process magic ingredients, and mages that do stuff that awful should repent for it. We see the man screaming from earlier, saying that it's all their fault, begging that he lift the spell. Eugen tells him that if they sleep it off they'll be back to normal to reflect on it, as he warps them into a ball, like they weren't there to begin with. Sung-hae looks horrified, explaining how from his appearance to the magic he uses, everything about him is super creepy and suspicious, but he's overly friendly and nosy to an uncomfortable degree. He's helped them out multiple times, yet never asked for payment. She's sorry that she always judges him based on his looks. She thanks him for helping while bowing to him. He puts his hand on her shoulder, telling her that there's no need to bow. It's only right for a mage to resolve a problem caused by a mage, and she can call any time she needs help. She says the problem is his visuals are too much to put judgment off. Eugen says he's heard rumors of a serial killer roaming the country. People are really scared, so he's been tracking it in his spare time. They say it has an unbelievably gruesome face, and butchers people beyond recognition, so they have to stop it before more innocent victims pile up. So if she finds any leads to let him know ASAP. She doesn't know if she should tell him or not that he's the one from the rumors. Yujin looks at his phone, saying that times flew by already. What the hell wrong with his pinky? Sung-hae says her energy is being drained right now, asking if he has a schedule. He tells her that it's about time he starts something he's been prepping for a while. He's got to give one to her too. He reaches into his coat, and pulls out a little flyer, telling her to please spread the word around. The cops talk to a little ball of human, telling them that they have the right to a lawyer, and then sighs wondering what the hell he's doing with his life. Yujin waves to Sung-hae, saying that he'll be off then, and she tells him to take care going back. Then looks down at the flyer, surprised, asking if he really doesn't understand his own predicament, wondering if he's really planning on doing this. 30 years after the founding declaration of the mage faction led by Yu Hyuk, magic became an indispensable part of every industry, from food, clothing, and so on. But mages are still in short supply. We see a man on TV telling everybody they need their help. Through systematic training and expertise they can draw out their magical talents. So if they become mages, and brighten the world they can help reshape it. And that he, Choi, Yi-sok, along with the other authorities at the Prime Mage Academy await them. Turns out the flyer Yujin was spreading around was for his own mage academy called Yujin's Magic Academy. He says that he teaches a wide range of practical magic for exams, jobs, and startups, at affordable prices with personalized care. He smiles super wholesomely, saying that he thought about it a lot, even if he can't be with his master, to keep the promise he made with him. He thought about how to resolve it, as there are still too many problems that need magic, but too many people learn it for extortion, and hurting others instead of making the world better. Just smashing those situations as he saw them was a stopgap that didn't solve the root issues anyways. He sat there debating what it could be, as he has to do this as Yu Hyuk's disciple. It needs to be something to contribute to the world with the biggest possible impact. While sitting at a park he overheard a woman telling her students to follow, and he looked at how wholesome and happy they were. Then the teacher spotted Yujin, and instantly blocked their vision, telling them to not look around at the cryptid, and keep walking forward. Yujin used this as inspiration. The way to increase mages with wisdom, and build up their righteous characters allowing them to devote themselves to the world was simple. As he hands a flyer to a woman horrified, crying while holding her child, he asks if her kid dreams of becoming a mage, and that learning magic in adolescence boosts creativity and focus, along with emotional growth and character development. As his goal is to raise them himself, she runs off as he continues talking about the classes, and she screams sorry. He says of course decisions about their children need care. He doesn't even think she's put off by his appearance. More importantly, he hasn't handed out a single flyer, and nobody's coming his way. Everyone's been so busy walking fast away from him that it's hard to approach. He needs a way to grab people's attention. He spots a wacky inflatable arm man saying that he's got it. Nearby spectators wonder what that weird growling sound is, and when they turn they spot Yujin getting longer, and begin screaming. Yujin says that he has to get bigger and longer so he can hand out tons of flyers. As he starts spewing tentacles from his back he says this is perfect. He then decides to add a little decoration onto his flyers, and people watch stricken with fear, as he turns into an eldritch horror saying that he's going to teach them magic. They can become great mages, and contribute to the world together. As he goes to hand out the flyers we see he put magic to make them talk, and it looks absolutely terrifying. He wonders why it took him so long to think of this. Flashy attention-grabbing entertainment is just marketing basics. He starts to laugh, and he says that he remembers seeing a tall clown at an amusement park when he was with Yu Hyuk as a child, and that is a core memory that stuck with him. So making memories like that for others is the best option for him right now. He then hears somebody yelling that's him, the one who's been murdering both mages and non-mages indiscriminately, the psycho serial killer cannibal mage. Yujin wonders if he's really here in the middle of the street before he gets hit with an attack, and they say his name instead. As he begins to fall straight forward onto a bystander he sweeps him out of the way allowing him to escape the fall. We hear the man from TV, Yi-sok, saying he heard a commotion by the academy, so he came to check. This must be the killer monster that's been rumored. He can't believe it's right in front of his academy of all places, as this isn't a place for filth like him. The bystanders say that now that a veteran combat mage is on the scene it's going to be perfect. Speaking of perfect, Yi-sok says this is the best time for promo. He should have made it last longer though, as he didn't expect a basic blast spell to blow its head clean off. He needed to toy with it for better visuals, but when he looks back Yujin is completely gone. That is when Yujin appears directly in his face saying that he's so lucky it hit him because firing dangerous magic in the middle of the city is not a good idea. Yi Sok distances himself saying no way as he clearly saw his skull shatter. He then readies his spell wondering how he's standing, but Yujin Luffy's his arm over grabbing his mouth, saying that he's the one, the serial killer who murders innocents with magic. He was on the fence since his face was uglier than the rumors, but when people screamed, and ran away in shock, screaming that a serial killer had appeared he was certain. The spectators are all saying that he's the serial killer, wondering what the hell he's talking about. Yujin says the biggest, and most unforgivable reason is that no sane person would blow up someone's head with magic out of nowhere. Only a true murderer could do something that horrific to an innocent person, and no one with a normal conscience could even think of using magic that way, as he starts to squeeze Yi Sok's face in half like a tube of toothpaste. Yujin tells him that to study magic for that kind of brutality is beyond redemption, and he'll pay when he wakes up. As he spaghettifies him he tells him to reflect, and find a way to atone. He eventually calls Sung Hae, and tells everybody to rest easy now, but then says that was good promo, but as he turns around he sees that everybody's already ran for their lives. Elsewhere we see somebody watching it on their phone saying it's creepy, walking the streets like that in broad daylight is absolutely wild. They then assume that it's a magic disguise, because there's no way it's his real face. Rumor also has it that he was Ui Hyuk's disciple, and if that's true they need to talk to someone about it. The other girl says that they can go ask her directly, and she walks over saying it looks like she's wrapping up work. The dude tells her to wait asking if she's really forgotten who they work under, as this is Ui Hyuk's own daughter, and disciple. The woman runs over telling her to check this out. As a mage goes to cast a magic spell she wraps vines around him stopping him. Then asks the woman if she knows the freak in this video, as rumor has it that he's also one of Ui Hyuk's disciples. The dude says that she's going to get skinned for asking that. The girl says that even if Ui Hyuk had tons of disciples someone impersonating one should be dealt with responsibly. But the girl recognizes it as Yujin instantly. She's surprised that she actually knows him. The dude says he warned her. The girl then asks if she's mad as she breaks the phone. The guy says that was his, and not hers, while tweaking. Ui Hyuk's daughter says that no doubt, even after a decade plus she can tell, as that's a face she can never forget. And finally it's a chance for her to prove herself to her father. She is the best among his disciples. We learn that her name is Jong Ain. She says that Yujin will be her proof. Back to Yujin. We see him unspaghettifying Yi Sok saying that he's so sorry as it was a misunderstanding, and he didn't expect him to be an academy director. Yi Sok, terrified of him, says that he just wants to go home, and rest. Yujin then says that even if he irritated him, by promoting in front of his academy he can't just blast people with magic. They could have talked it out instead. Yi Sok says that if he looked like someone words would have worked on then yeah. Sung Hae says that he should leave the killer stuff to the police, and focus on growing his academy, as they'll call him when they need help. He says that he's glad to hear it, so he'll go promote elsewhere. She starts cheering him on, and waves by saying that she doesn't know why she's so worried because it's not like he's some stray from the riverside. He then says that he's gonna go try it in front of an elementary school, and they realize that those kids are about to grow up with crazy amounts of PTSD. They watch him walk away as he says their Spotify age is probably high enough. We get a flashback to when Ain was a kid doing magic. She was so excited. She told her dad to look, as new magic is coming for her too. He says that he saw it. Of course she is his daughter after all, but to keep this in mind, being special isn't something that you just possess, and feel satisfied with. You have to do things worthy of that specialness for it to truly shine, so she must become a special person worthy of the talent he gave her. She says of course she will become a grand mage just like him. Then asks where Uncle Yujin is, as she wants to hurry up, and brag to him. He then goes to tell her where he is. The flashback ends as it jumps to the present, and Yi Sok says he's a total fucking lunatic. He turns people into a liquidish form with unidentified magic, but it might also not even be magic, he doesn't know yet. His face isn't human, and haunts him, so there's no way a monster like that could have been Ui Hyuk's disciple. Ain says that they say that he even took in war orphans out of compassion, and raised them as disciples, and that was how Yujin came to be, but asks if he really doesn't have any intel on Yujin's magic. Yi Sok says that forget intel, if he hadn't let his guard down he wouldn't have gone down without a fight. There's just too much talk going around to let this slide, so this time he came prepared, gathering the best from his academy's combat track alumni. So no matter what magic that guy pulls, as long as they're all together it'll be okay. Ain says that he's mistaken. She came to get info on him, and he's giving some long-winded story after getting his shit rocked. Yi Sok tells her to wait a second, but Ain says that she won't keep him if he's busy. There's no need to see her out. As she goes to walk away, some of the men step in front of her, saying them barging into someone else's company, and being this rude is a bit much. This attitude isn't even called for, so she should apologize directly to the director, and cooperate. She goes to tell them that she's told them before that she doesn't plan to, and the dudes say they should just let her leave since they're good on their own. There's no point making space for someone who won't even take a bite. Yi Sok tells them to stop, and let her go, as she's the Grand Mage's daughter, but they say exactly she's not the Grand Mage herself, so hanging around a stuck-up bitch like this won't do them any good, and she might have learned magic from her dad, but clearly no manners. The door then starts to get open. As we see Yi Sok sweating nervously, it turns out they wiped their entire squad in just a couple seconds. Ain says that next time he should teach his group manners before magic. Meanwhile at a cafe, we see Yujin laughing while browsing on his laptop. He must be watching one of my videos. A dude walks over saying that he's been holding it in, but that noise is getting on his nerves, and he asks him if he owns this cafe or something, telling him to quiet down. Yujin turns around smiling as we see he has AirPods in. He takes them out asking if he was too loud, apologizing. The dude says that he just mistook him for someone he knows, and to enjoy the rest of his recap. Yujin says promotions are low-key scary. He's trying to find a good algorithm to use for it. Sung-hae told him to look for data into it, but he can't find anything. He has no idea where to start, and feels totally lost. They stopped him from going to the elementary school, telling him to use internet promo like Instagram, or YouTube, as that stuff works. He then spots a video of Ain that's trending on YouTube, and he wonders what it is. He goes to click it, and gets tapped on the shoulder from behind. He says that it's not what it looks like. He was just looking at this, and about to get back to work. We see it's the girl from Ain's team. She starts freaking out, saying that his face is horrifying. He apologizes for startling her, and she says that it's fine, but asks if he is Yujin. He says that he is, and she says that there's someone who really wants to meet him, asks if he can follow. He does so as they head outside, and the man tells Ain that he's following nice and easy, and since this is the middle of the city he won't try anything suspicious, but also they'll call her when they get close. Yujin says he's curious about who they're going to meet. As Yujin still thinks about it, the dude just wonders how a guy looks like that in the first place. It's not just his looks, but the vibe he gives off makes people hella scared, and who knows when he'll show his true colors. If anything suspicious happens, he's going to have to deal with it. He thought it'd just be as simple as bringing him in, no problem, but he didn't understand that it would be this tense and stressful. A little before this, Ain was explaining how Yujin is 34 years old, and at around 4 her father took him in as a war orphan, raising him as a mage. He worked as chief researcher at the Magic Tech Research Foundation, and vanished 14 years ago. They can't believe that he was actually one of the disciples, but the girl is more freaked out by his childhood photo. She asks how a face this cute turned into that hideous freak. Ain says that while she finishes prep she'll leave them to bringing Yujin in, and we learn that their names are Hui Myung and Eun-hae. Hui Myung says that he wants to know what Ain plans to do once she meets him. She says on the day that Yujin disappeared, her father says that he was disappointed in him. The disciple who was always by her father's side basking in his favor turned his back, and banned her suddenly, and now after over a decade he shows up, and she needs to check if he needs to threaten or dishonor her father's legacy. She'll crush him herself. She just needs the two of them to bring him to her. Back to the escort. Eun-hae wonders what's wrong with Yujin, and he's been staring at her so creepily since earlier. It's giving her so many goosebumps she can't even breathe right. She says it's not like he would pull something in public right here, but Yujin gets right up to her ear saying he's got it, and that she must work with Ain. She gets startled, and he goes to explain that he saw her in this video as he pulls out his phone. She cuts off his hand saying that the plan has changed, telling Hui Myung to subdue him, and drag him with them. He says he knew it would come to this, and uses his magic to slam Yujin into the floor. He says he expected shit to hit the fan, but not this soon. He knows that Eun-hae was the one who blew it. She says surely he won't die from this. He asks why she had to cut off his arm to begin with. She says that he should try standing in front of him, and she thought she was going to lose it. His arm starts to wiggle after it grabs onto his phone, and she turns looking at it, saying that he was staring at her really creepily from behind, and reached out without thinking she reacted. Yujin apologizes as he starts to stand back up. He says he didn't mean to unintentionally stare at her, but no matter how unpleasant she felt, that kind of lashing out seems excessive. We get a flashback to before, as Eun-hae says just in case if Yujin attacks them first what's the best way to handle it. As word is tons of mages have died by his hands, and he's Ui-hyuk's disciple to boot, so they're not sure they can deal with him. Ain says that his magic talent is top-notch for sure, but Yujin was a researcher through and through. Hui Myung has succeeded in countless bodyguarding gigs against high-level corporate assassination attempts, while Eun-hae fought against 100 terrorists, so nothing like that half-baked Yi-sok who got bodied. If a problem arises they just need to minimize the damage while they respond, and hit her up immediately. The flashback ends with her looking confused as what she sees is Eun-hae on the ground screaming, saying that this is gross and creepy, and Hui Myung has been turned into spaghetti. Yujin has a spike through his head, and looks over towards Ain before she hits him with an attack sending him flying. She walks over asking the two of them if they're okay. Eun-hae begins to cry as Hui Myung tells her to be careful, as he has no clue what magic it is, but he keeps regenerating no matter what they hit him with. He punches right through their defense spells like it's nothing. Worse if he touches her she's done. Eun-hae says that he's a complete freak monster. Spectators start to form around recognizing her as Ain, Ui-hyuk's daughter, saying that she must be here to catch that monster. She starts to summon a magic circle, and says first things first as she shoots it around herself, and her group as well as Yujin, saying it's time to relocate them all, and they fly off into the air to a nearby abandoned area. They land safely on the ground. Yujin says he knew he wasn't seeing anything, asking how Ain grew so much in the meantime, and that it's been 14 years so she's 22 now. He says that it's Uncle Yujin asking if she remembers him. Then he mentions that she got that hat from her dad, meaning she became a mage after all, and he always told her she could do it. She asks him why he did this to the people she sent, and he tells her that he made a mistake earlier by staring too much, which pissed them off, and they started swinging lethal spells at him, so he just tied them up gently until they calmed down. She says she doesn't care about the details. She was agonizing over what excuse to make to fight him, but turns out there's no need against someone already broken. She pulls out her staff saying that she'll deal with it from here on out because he did this to her friends, and that her father would be even more disappointed after hearing all the shit he's pulled writing on his name. That's why he needs to fall to her, as we see her combining multiple magic effects, stacking them, and she says that she'll prove it to him right now that she's the one who will follow after her father's footsteps. She casts a spell on her staff creating a blade, and runs straight in, leaping at Yujin, saying that she doesn't want him talking to her like they're close to begin with. Meanwhile, back at Yi-sok's academy, his men are pissed, saying they can't let this slide. This is a humiliation for the entire academy. Even if she's Ui-hyuk's child, they have to show her they won't let this stand. Yi-sok says he gets they're pissed, but to drop it, since she is still the flesh and blood of Ui-hyuk, and that she didn't just inherit his wealth. Back in the day, he happened to be in the same group as her, during a mission to wipe out a mage's crime syndicate. That was the first time in his mage career he ever felt insignificant. The gap between her and him as mages was so vast it was hard to believe they were in the same profession. To think that he'd swallow that kind of insult quietly was surprising, but he knew that even if every combat mage in their academy, himself included, ganged up on her, he can't even imagine touching a single hair on her head. Back to the fight, we see a massive explosion, and Eun-hae says she seems extra pissed today. Hui Myung is just chilling on the ground. Yi-sok says that woman's magic is no different from a natural disaster. It's impossible to imagine her ever losing to anything. As she's ripping Yujin apart, he says that it's so weird, wondering why she's so angry. He then appears behind her, asking if something bad happened. As the Ain he remembers wouldn't throw a tantrum just because she's in a bad mood. She blows his mouth off, telling him to shut up. Saying that he's no uncle of hers, calling him a traitor. He betrayed her father, and vanished without a shred of gratitude. Then he has the nerve to show up again, going around tarnishing the honor of being her father's disciple. So as his real disciple, she's dishing out his punishment. He wonders what she means by betrayal, asking if he did something wrong. As this is the first time they've met in over a decade, yet she's attacking him without hesitation. He then says that he gets it. As we get a flashback to when she was younger, looking depressed, Yujin asked if she still can't use magic, wondering what her father said. She told him that her dad said just to wait a little longer. As kids with magic talent started learning basic spells way younger than her, and that's what it is. She then asks what to do. If she can't become a mage like her dad, she'll tarnish his legacy. He tells her not to worry, because she is the daughter of the greatest grand mage. He loves her more than anything in this world, and that he and her father will find some way to make her into a mage on par with her father. Once she can use magic, they should study it together. They'll get her used to using it in secret, so her dad will be shocked. She wipes away her tears, and they pinky promise on it. As his hand begins reforming, he says that he's sorry that he couldn't keep his promise with her. She lands back on the ground, calling him a monster. Even after using every type of magic available, not a single one's got through, asking if it's even possible to kill him. Yujin though is just feeling guilty that he had to leave without seeing her become a mage. He smiles, saying that now he understands. Her heart begins to feel strained as she puts her hand on her chest. She says she got hasty, and used too much magic. And regardless, right now she can tell that he's overconfident in his regeneration. And he's not even responding right now, acting carefree. But unless he is a grand mage, all magic has its limits. She can just use some kind of spell to suppress his regeneration, but she needs to calm her heart as she takes out a pill. Yujin then says that he's sorry for not realizing it sooner, as he was so happy to see her that he completely forgot. She wanted to show off all the magic she's honed without him around, saying that he knows she's just trying to brag. She's completely confused, and he says that since she's become this skilled, and outstanding all on her own, he's seriously blown away by how much practice it must have taken. To wield such a wide variety of spells so proficiently, he can tell she worked really hard, and her dad would be so proud. She recalls him congratulating her when she was younger on her first time ever when she learned magic theory, telling her how impressed he was. When she told him to become his best disciple, this much is basic, but he has a lot more to teach her from now on. He tells her to keep working hard, and that he'll be waiting for the day she becomes as good as Yujin. For her to do that, she never stopped studying, and trained permanently in her younger years, and her dad always praised her for her efforts and accomplishments, but he never once said that she reached Yujin's level. Even after he disappeared, he still remained her father's most proud disciple. We see him smiling, giving her 2 thumbs up as he has to praise his students' effort and achievements actively, so they feel rewarded. He says that he studied this student mental care method online, and that it really does have everything on there. This much should calm her down, but we see her shatter her medicine box out of frustration, and he realizes he might have made a mistake. She chugs a handful of pills. She says everything she's built up, all of her efforts and achievements are not something that should just be diminished as a kid's silly tricks. She starts using a magic much different than anything we've seen so far. She says that she'll go along with it since he's being so generous. He starts to smile wider, and she tells him to try taking this attack too with his regeneration magic. Though she herself knows it's all just her trying to shake off her inferiority complex. Hui Myung and Eun-hye yell, telling her to calm down, and if she uses that here they're all dead. Yujin stares at it, and is really impressed. He says that she's actually reached the pinnacle of magic, and this is 3rd circle. He looks super excited. He wonders how much effort it took for her to master magic to this degree, as he really wants to help her flourish, and to honor the effort she's built up so she can bear an even greater fruit. She uses the 3rd circle magic, called Demon Eye Spear, and starts to throw it at Yujin. He says that he realizes now that what she needed wasn't actually praise. As he shoves his hand through hers, he picks her up, saying that it was the manual control circuit for this 3rd circle magic she was about to use. If she tweaks the mana distribution ratio just a tiny bit, it would be way more efficient. She doesn't need such a complicated circuit layout. He says that he just needs to continue guiding her towards even greater heights. Her magic starts to dissipate, and Hui Myung wonders if they should be happy they survived, as they don't know what kind of crash out Aang will have after this. He then tells her that high-speed movement spell from earlier was cool, and goes to give her some pointers. She yells, asking if he's really doing this shit again, asking why he hasn't fixed that habit. He wonders what she's talking about, so she tells him that he doesn't even know what he did wrong. The habit that he's always had. He picks apart every little mistake in front of everyone, and she can't believe he is doing it during the middle of a fight, wondering how someone can not change a bit in over a decade. Even when she gave him those cookies she made for her dad's birthday, he just sat there telling her how to improve it, and he didn't care how embarrassed she was in front of her dad. She goes into full-blown tantrum mode, calling him a clueless asshole. Eventually she calms down, and Hui Myung and Eun-hye wonder if she's just been bottling this up. Yujin realizes that he needs to calm her down even more, saying that he'll turn her co-workers back to normal. Aang takes off her hat, and is embarrassed that she lost her cool like that, but realizes she can't fight him anymore, because if she does, she'll be the weird one. He then asks when she started being able to use magic fully like that, as he and her father were continuously racking their brains trying to help her use it. She says it was the day after he left. He says that makes sense, and then realizes something. He freezes up. As Hui Myung turns back to normal, He wonders if his face is back to normal, and Eun-hae says that he's always been ugly, so not to worry. Ain tells them it's time to head back. Also, she doesn't know what Yujin's been up to lately, but there are a lot of mages who have abandoned him, but she's sure he'll manage just fine. She just doesn't want him to tarnish her father's reputation any further, so to act with caution. Also, there's no need to come back to her father now, because for the both of them, his empty spot no longer exists. She then goes to cast her teleportation spell, telling him to get over here, but he keeps touching the scar on his neck. As he does approach her, she asks where he lives, saying that she'll drop him off. Then hands him her business card. As he reaches towards it, he goes past it, and puts his hand straight into her chest. She looks down, confused. Hu Im-young and Eun-hae start to freeze up as Yujin pulls out her heart straight from her chest. He says there's no way, and he hoped it wasn't true. As he keeps touching his neck, he says that he always tried to understand. As it turns out, Yoo I-hyuk killed him previously, and he always told himself there had to be a reason. At least that's what he truly forced himself to believe. As Yoo I-hyuk stole his heart, it turns out he put it inside of his own daughter. Yujin stares down at the heart in his hand, and says this is not something that he can just accept. It jumps to a flashback of a man yelling at Yoo I-hyuk, asking what he's done. Yoo I-hyuk tells him to speak quietly, because his ears are going to fall off. We learn the man's name is Friedrich. Friedrich asks why he's teaching magic to inferior humans. He already knows the reason they've been hiding for over a dozen centuries. They couldn't even control their primitive knowledge, and brought destruction upon themselves. He joined his plan that mages should lead humans. It wasn't about handing swords to the unqualified. Yoo I-hyuk calls him foolish, telling him to watch his words. Mages are humans too. Friedrich starts to get pissed. Yoo I-hyuk tells him that mages have been hiding all the way this time, and magic has stagnated. Revealing magic wasn't salvation. It was the path to mutual prosperity. Friedrich starts to summon a magic circle, asking what he means by mutual prosperity. Yoo I-hyuk watches as, with just a flick of Friedrich's wrist, he carves out a massive chunk out of everything in his path. He asks how this is meant to be mutual prosperity when they hold this kind of power. Yoo I-hyuk says that if he can't trust it he should watch quietly as the era of the mages will change. Maybe among those human lives that he looks down on so much a terrifying mage might emerge who even he, the strongest mage, would find ridiculous. But before that, as he starts to summon his own magic circle, Friedrich realizes he messed up, and Yoo I-hyuk says that he must pay the price for defying a grand mage. The flashback ends as Ain starts to wake up. We see Hu Im-young and Eun-hae waiting for her on a nearby couch. She asks where she is, and Yujin asks if she's okay, getting really close. She crawls away from him, scared. Eun-hae tells her that this is her uncle's place, he's the director of a new academy. She asks what they're talking about, and Yujin says that he decided to open a magic academy, but he's right before opening. So he's super busy, he has to finish the interior first, then recruit students. He tells her that he's been trying to promote using SNS. Which he's excited to see how it'll go. Ain though is more worried about her heart, saying there's no problem with it. She wonders if he pulled it out just to look at it. Also why the two of them are chatting casually with someone who ripped out her heart. Eun-hae tells her to stop putting it like that. Hu Im-young explains it to her, that it turns out Yujin knew everything about the heart problem that she's been having. She's surprised, asking if he really drilled into someone else's chest just to check it out. He says that she used a lot of big magic today. It must have strained her heart even more, as she consumed all of her pills at the same time. They got so scared seeing her collapse. So he let them come here. Since the heart issue is top secret, they couldn't risk taking her to the hospital. Ain apologizes for intruding, saying there's no point troubling him anymore, so she'll be going. Yujin watches as they get ready, but tells Ain to wait for a second, as he has something to tell her. It's something very important. Hu Im-young and Eun-hae ask if she's okay to be left alone, and she tells them to go head home. They then start discussing amongst themselves if maybe seeing the creepy-ass face since childhood warped her psyche. It's still crazy that she's having a one-on-one meeting with someone who ripped out her heart. As that just sounds absurd to even say aloud. She then asks what he's been staring at, and he says it's the flyer from the academy. She says there's no way the dude is sane trying to teach students with his creepy magic, and creepy face. Hu Im-young says that the regeneration magic alone was crazy, but also how he pierced through their defense magic, meaning it might be worth learning. She laughs, saying that he should know better, as who would sell their own livelihood magic for money. Hu Im-young says that he's probably just promoting the academy to the chief. Then she agrees. As they're walking by, Hui Myung bumps into someone, and he apologizes. The man then says to wait, as he's seen them on YouTube with Ui Hyuk's daughter. Eun-hae gets embarrassed, saying she doesn't know what to do with this unwanted fame, but that is them. Then Hui Myung asks if they've met before. He says that he thought young folks these days wouldn't know, but he's actually a close friend of Ui Hyuk's father. Meaning he's an uncle to Ain. Of course this is Friedrich from the flashback. Ain then asks Yujin what he wanted to say. He says that he knows every time she uses magic it strains her heart. She asks if maybe he heard from her father, but there is no point in hiding it, and if she keeps using magic like this she'll probably die very soon. It sure is crazy that, despite inheriting the most special talent from her father, she had to be born with a mana allergy, a rare constitution that constantly burns her heart. Eventually it will burst killing her. Yujin laughs while touching the scar on his neck, saying that it sounds like a plausible lie, and that his master sure came up with one crazy story. Ain says that must be why he ripped open her heart to check it, and that his absurd impulsiveness hasn't changed, but if he's done now she has to get going because a ton of work is piled up. He grabs her arm, telling her that the world has tons of things people need beyond mages. Instead of living on borrowed time as a mage she could find other work that suits her, and that as her uncle he'll help her. So she can start fresh. She tells him to let go, and pulls her arm away, saying that he crossed the line. She already told him that his spot as her uncle is gone, and he has no right to meddle in her life. This is something she got from her father, but it's also her burden for being born sick. If she's going to live a life that isn't a mage, she'd rather just die. She then tells him that opening a magic academy suits him well. Instead of sticking his nose where it doesn't belong with her, he should focus on getting students to pay, and listen to him. He debates telling her the truth, and as soon as he goes to her phone starts ringing. She answers it, asking Eun-hae what's wrong because her voice sounds weird. She starts sweating, and panics, saying that she needs to hang in there, as she's on her way right now. She goes to leave, telling Yujin it's an emergency, but still he's debating if he should have told her the truth or not. We see him, and her father discussing how a simulation failed. After using every medical magic they knew, he can't stop projection into someone unable to accept mana when transplanting a mage's heart. If they could solve this one issue, they could create more great mages with integrity and wisdom. Ui Hyuk says that the sim's basic premise is too extreme. Transplanting Yujin's heart dense with the highest mana he knows into Ain who's not even 8 is absurd, asking if he really intends to do that. Yujin says that she's his precious niece, and his master's daughter, so of course he has to give her the best he has. Even if she can use magic, living a borrowed time would be putting the car before the horse, so he's going to shelf this method for now, as there has to be a better way. The flashback ends with him saying even if he told her the truth she wouldn't give up. He wonders if he needs to hold her back by force, or if he should seal her magic. He starts to get frustrated, but also feels guilty, saying this is all because Master took his heart, so she's dying because of him. He has no choices left at all. Just like 14 years ago he's still nothing but a useless coward. His doorbell then starts ringing, and he wonders who it could be. Meanwhile Ain heads to the nearby mountains, as Friedrich says that aside from her hair and eye color she doesn't really look much like her father, but seeing that hat brings back some old memories. Ain says the pressure just from facing him is real, as he was once her father's right-hand man, and a traitor who smashed multiple cities defying her father. Friedrich's chugging a drink, saying that those old memories sure do hit hard, but they're going to make him puke at this rate. Ain says that Friedrich Gameroa is still the strongest combat mage alive, as he throws Eun-hae and Hui Myung to her. Their arms look crazy broken. He asks why she keeps these weaklings around, as they're too pathetic even as errand boys. Hui Myung tells her to run, because if her father doesn't show up they're done for. Eun-hae as well cries, saying they shouldn't have called her, but it was too scary. Ain says she'll send them straight to the hospital, thanking them for everything. They realize what this means, but it's too late, as she sends them flying away. Friedrich says that now she's had enough time to sort things out. It's time for her to help him. He's off to meet her dad after 30 years, and he can't show up empty-handed. Her heart starts to race, and she smiles awkwardly, saying that she finally found what she was looking for. Friedrich says that he's going to take her head back to her father, as that would make the 30-year reunion more dramatic. She laughs, saying that he doesn't even know her father's taste even though they're old friends. As Ui Hyuk's daughter, and his most loyal disciple even if she died it would be honorably, and she warns him that her father will turn him away at the door. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Hui Myung and Eun-hae are laying there as EMTs quickly run over, realizing they need to get them prepped for treatment immediately. Back to Yujin, Turns out the one who came to his house was Sung Hae, saying that she asked their PR department for help. She said they'd put together a quick guide on how to prepare for social media promotions, and send it over. At least this way he can be relieved, since she was the one who suggested it to him. She says she actually came to check in, worried he might be causing trouble again, but the pressure she feels from him right now is way too much. He already looks creepy enough, but him being depressed like this makes it downright horrifying. She wonders what's wrong with him, asking if he's okay. He says that he's sorry after she went through all that trouble for him, but he's going to scrap the academy plans, and look for a different job. She asks why. He says that there was a child who struggled desperately for their dream, even to the point of self-harm. Instead of helping them achieve that dream, he urged them to give up, which must have hurt them deeply. So now he realizes he's just a meddlesome busybody who can't even understand how others feel, yet he wants to be an educator. He just doesn't think he's cut out for this line of work. She sips her drink, thinking about something, saying that she doesn't think that's quite right. As she tells him working as a detective allows her to see these things more than he'd think. She once broke down a door to save a victim from a burglar, only for him to scream at her about who was going to pay for the door. She's even been slapped in the face after saving someone, shivering on the edge of a bridge trying to end it all. The world is full of people who either don't realize they're in danger, or choose to ignore it, even when they clearly need help. So how could she just leave them alone? Saving them is still her duty in the end. He decided to become an educator, so even if there's a student turning a blind eye to their own suffering, he has to show them the danger, worry with them, and help them find a way through it. That is his duty as an educator. Yujin says he wanted to do that, but he didn't know how. She says the way there is simple. They live in a world with magic after all. If he looks hard enough, he'll definitely come up with some idea. Back to the fight, we see they are completely terraforming the area around them in real time. Friedrich is casually casting high-level spells, keeping her on the complete defensive. While she is using the highest form of basic magic due to her heart's condition, she's not trying to strain it. Friedrich honestly looks a little bored as she comes in from behind with a surprise attack that is her stacking magic effects all together to create a chain of versatile attacks, similar to what we've seen before. She even uses the mana blade at the tip of her staff, but Friedrich blocks it with pure ease. He points one finger at her before sending her flying away through the air. Realizing she can't miss this chance, she starts to combine even more magic effects. As a shadow begins to loom over Friedrich, he turns back. As she's lifted out an entire chunk of the forest using telekinesis, she slams it down onto him, completely trapping him underneath the mountain she just lifted into the air. Her heart though starts to feel extremely strained as she grabs onto it, gasping. Friedrich says that numerous attributes, and types of magic that an ordinary mage wouldn't dare to attempt, and the skills that she has to weave those into one, along with a mana capacity capable of throwing a literal mountain at him. She truly is an outstanding mage worthy of being Uihyuk's flesh and blood. Asking if that's all she's been wanting to hear. He gets that she can spam a bunch of spells, but she hasn't mastered a single one yet. He didn't come here to watch her talent show. He then looks up as she summons the same thing she did against Yujin. The giant eye gazes down at him. He's a little surprised to see the third circle magic. As it starts condensing the energy at the tip of the eye, she shoots it out, blasting it straight towards Friedrich, trying to end it once, and for all. After the attack lands, she's gasping as her nose begins bleeding, and she says it's finally over. She poured out every single spell she could use, and now she's at her limit. If she uses even one more spell her heart will explode. It seems like this is the end of her magic, and her life though, as Friedrich is still completely unscathed. She says that she hoped for her final battle, and struggled to be a little more valiant. Friedrich tells her instead just to go home. She's confused, but he tells her that he expected a masterpiece. Instead he gets a kid trying to play mage. All she uses is crude magic inflated with nothing but firepower and flashiness. While it was third circle magic, she just forced the three circles together awkwardly. He's honestly speechless. To think that Uihyuk's offspring is at this level, he almost feels sorry for him. If he killed a failure like her, he would just be doing Uihyuk a favor by taking out the trash. She wonders what the hell he's saying to her right now. Friedrich continues, saying he'd rather die than do something that benefits him. He should have known when he saw the level of her underlings that this would have been a complete buzzkill. He tells her to go home, wash up, and sleep. She asks where he's going, telling him to finish this fight. He said that he'd take her head to her father. Yet he's now running away. She's frustrated because if she survives like this she'll be left with nothing but a pathetic life stripped of her magic. He tells her to keep yapping as it's annoying him to death. She keeps whining, begging to be killed even after he said he'd spare her, then he guesses he might as well do it. But Eugen appears, grabbing her hand, saying that he's been looking all over for her. Friedrich's surprised, but so is Aine. She asks what he's doing here. We see a little before he actually arrived that Eugen got a phone call saying that he knows about the old man Friedrich, and asked where it is. He says he knows where that location is too, but not to worry as he's heading right there. Aine will be safe. He apologizes to Sung Hae as something urgent came up. She says if it's urgent he should go. Then he asks if he could have the flyer. She hands it to him as he thanks her. He says he's sorry for worrying her with his gloomy face earlier, especially when she came here in her free time. She tells him it happens, and she feels like maybe she was being a bit nosy. He tells her that just being nosy isn't the way he'd put it, and thanks to those words she considers nosy he was able to find courage too. He'll contact her after he finishes this urgent business. She tells him to be safe, but wonders how urgent it is for him to warp the wall creating his own window to leave from. She says that he seems to have regained his energy. But good grief, she can't believe he got energized with such a creepy ass look on his face as he starts flying through the air. He spots the aftermath of the fight, saying that this is the place that Hu Im-young mentioned on the phone, and that it's a complete mess. It looks like it was hit by a missile bombardment. If the magic was used to scorch the surroundings to this extent, it most definitely must be Friedrich fighting. He then spots them down on the ground, and smiles happily saying that this is good. That is when he exited his creepy ass little bird form, and grabbed onto her wrist. Back to the present, she asks how he found this place. He says that it was Hu Im-young, the one who works with her, he actually called, and told him she was in danger. He goes to say he'll thank him later before his head explodes. Friedrich calls him creepy, asking Aine if that beanpole is her boyfriend, but he looks so hideous he can't even stand to look at him anymore. He couldn't hold back the heat of the moment, so he just did what he had to. Eugen tells him that his temper is the same as it was then, and now, but to wait a moment as he'll deal with him once he's done talking to Aine. Aine asks what the hell he's doing, as he's pulling out her heart once more. He tells her to look, as it's in the state where it wouldn't be strange if it exploded, and if she used magic just now it really would have been over. She starts to pull away, saying that she told him earlier not to interfere, asking if he doesn't understand her feelings. It's pointless to meddle anymore. He needs to let her die as a mage, rather he needs to let her die as Yu Hyuk's daughter. Eugen asks why he shouldn't interfere. What kind of adult would look at a kid determined to die, and just say go ahead while leaving them to be, as he yells this to her. Realizing she doesn't really have anything to say, she asks what he wants her to do. How is she meant to do anything? This is the only chance she has to be special to her father. There's no way for her to prove herself other than this. She doesn't truly want to die either, but with a heart like hers she can't even dream of being a grand mage. How is she supposed to become her father's proudest disciple? He says that's exactly why her uncle is here. The mana and heart that her dad left her, which lets her fly through the sky and overturn mountains. But he realizes he'll tell her later, saying that they can put it aside for now. If she promises not to give up on life, and gives him a chance to take responsibility, no matter what it takes he will make her a grand mage. She says even her father couldn't help, so how could he? But she swallowed the words that were about to leave her mouth. Looking at the flyer, she says that the person in front of her is the one she so desperately wanted to become, because he is her father's proudest disciple. She asks if he's really grabbing other people's hearts to threaten them now, as this is unbelievable, but maybe he can let her dream the one she gave up on, so she'll take a chance, asking if she should call him master or uncle. He smiles, saying master is a bit old-fashioned, and he'd rather her call him teacher. As he crushes her heart in his hands, she watches, confused, asking what the hell he's doing, but also confused as to why it doesn't hurt. He says it's so good to see it after so long, while shameless he had a favor to ask. No longer as his heart, but as Aine's heart. He shoves it back into her chest. She says that all of it disappeared, the mana that was constantly overflowing from her heart, and the pain. It feels completely peaceful. The uncomfortable feeling like it wasn't her own is now gone. This means that she can live, and somehow regain her magic, and aiming for Grand Mage might truly be possible. Eugen tells Friedrich that he's sorry for keeping him waiting. Even Aine forgot that Friedrich was there because of the whole moment. Eugen says that since he is done talking to her, if he has business with him he'll hear him out. Friedrich is still doomed scrolling his Instagram reels. He then gets up saying it's absurd. He doesn't know how long it's been since he was ignored like this. He doesn't really have any business with them, but there is one thing that bugs him. He said earlier that his temper was the same as ever. It bothers him that he's speaking as if they've met, but he doesn't remember ever seeing a gross-ass looking guy like him. Yujin says that it has been long enough to forget, as the last time they saw each other was around 30 years ago. Back when he came to his master, he threw a tantrum, got scolded, and ran away. Friedrich starts to smile out of pure frustration, saying that he has an interesting choice of words. Then he wonders why all the brats raised by Ui Hyuk have such filthy mouths, but it does make tearing him apart much more appealing. Ain wonders why he's provoking him for no reason, reminding him that is Friedrich, the strongest mage with no equal aside from her father. He made such a fuss about saving her, and now they're both going to die. He tells her that this works out well. He's too dangerous to just leave alone. As his neck starts to change shape, he says showing her in a situation like this will make it memorable, and to watch closely as she is his first student. He will show her all about his own Grand Mage curriculum, and to treat this as orientation. Ain though is just surprised, asking what the hell is that bizarre magic, cause it's creepier than anything he's used before. She asks if that's truly magic. She's never heard of a rune shaped like this before either. He says of course it's magic, since she's completely defenseless right now. He's casting this so she doesn't get caught up in that old man's magic. He tells her to watch carefully as this is second circle magic. It's an all-attribute full-body protection one. He casts it on her, telling her that it'll be dangerous, so step back a bit. Also, he wants her to tell him how much mana was in that spell he just used, asking if she knows. She says of course she does. Aegis is the protection spell she always kept up during battles, but as she goes to tell him, he says the correct answer is not even a single drop. She's confused, and he tells her not to worry too much about her heart's mana disappearing anymore. Even he has no mana in his heart either. What he's about to show her, and teach her from here on out, is how to use magic without using mana. He starts to run over like an Enderman, and Ain says in a situation like this, he is saying something that makes no sense, but also she doesn't even know if they can win. As he's running in, Friedrich wonders if he's a close range type, but he looks too defenseless to rush in. While he is Ui Hyuk's disciple, he must have confidence in something. For now he just wants to watch, and see what he does. Once more Yujin casts second circle magic called Binding Vine Rope. It starts to wrap around the entire barrier, constricting it until the point it shatters. She's surprised as even when she blasted it with high-powered spells his barrier didn't budge at all, yet he broke it with a basic spell. Friedrich says that's some pretty solid spell structure, definitely way better than even some of Ui Hyuk's. While it's impressive, that's all he gives it. Wasn't nearly good enough to provoke him like he did though. As he swings his hand, he cleaves off Yujin's head, but says that he knows it'll probably grow back like it did last time, and then while it's shocking, he guesses that he is banking on being able to regenerate from this. Ain says that his regen is disgustingly fast, but his opponent is the great mage Friedrich, so he might find a way somehow to get him to not regenerate. Friedrich smiles, saying it's not his first time seeing it, as there is no such thing like an invincible immortal without a weakness. There's always a core at the center of regeneration, or some kind of limit point, so he's gonna disintegrate his body from the inside down to the molecular level. But he's not gonna be able to do anything with it. Friedrich looks confused, but also looks strained, asking him how the hell he's grabbing that right now. Friedrich explains that the black lightning is a chemical reaction caused by mana. The moment it touches anything it should melt it regardless of what it was, and he can't just grab it like he's pulling a weed. He wonders what the hell is wrong with this guy. He then decides to give it to him, and distances himself. He says that he needs to pressure his regen more as he swipes, melting half of Yujin's body, but Yujin regenerates in an instant, grabbing onto his arm. Friedrich wonders why he's getting excited, saying that he has 12 layers of high-density protection spells around his entire body. There's no way he's gonna break through it, and while it might feel like he's grabbing his arm, it's actually like grabbing the outer wall of a nuclear bunker with his bare hands, but instead he watches his arm start to get spaghettified, and wonders what the hell is going on. It continues going up his body, and he makes the strategic play of cutting off his own arm. Yujin says that was one crazy move, and it must have hurt, but he could have just left it too. Friedrich looks at his wound after cauterizing it, saying that even when he fought Ui Hyuk he never got humiliated this pathetically, saying that this magic is complete bullshit. Yujin then tells Ain to pay attention. As he wanted to show her more mana less magic, he doesn't have that leeway anymore, so from now he's going to briefly explain what he showed properly. The one that he showed earlier is him freely altering his own body's composition and form, but it also transforms other objects that touch his hands. Strictly speaking, it's not magic, but the name of this technique she'll learn from now on is magic without runes, and it is called Mirren magic. Friedrich casts a spell that sends out a massive lightning bolt in the area, saying that this is disgusting, and he needs to get rid of it immediately, as ever since earlier he's had this disgusting feeling that's gradually corroding his judgment. As Eugen completely walks out unscathed from his attack, Friedrich is debating if it's the pain from having his arm cut off, or bewilderment from his freak magic, but says that it's not that either as he casts out yet another high-level spell that even has summons this time. They start to consume Eugen as he gets engulfed in the flames of Friedrich's mana, and he says ever since he's faced off against this guy, as time passes this feeling is building up more and more. He says that it might be disgust, it's the feeling of something that shouldn't be tangled yet it's getting all twisted up. He hears Eugen laughing while being burnt alive. Friedrich says he's facing something that shouldn't exist in the world right in front of him, and yells telling him to stop giggling as he casts an even higher level spell. Friedrich says that this must be fear. Aine can't help but watch as Eugen is being completely consumed by the flames, but she's still being protected by his magic, so he's still alive. Friedrich starts panicking, saying there's no way that he, Friedrich Gomeroa, would lose to some disciple of Ui Hyuk, but also there's no way that he's scared of him as Eugen forms behind him in a fleshy amalgamation. He stretches his hand through the back of his chest, grabbing onto his heart. Eugen says that must have been hilarious. He's sorry, but in this state the more magic he uses the more his brain itches, and he just can't help it. Aine runs over wondering if the fight finished. Even though Eugen said it so confidently, she was worried something might go wrong, but for real he actually ended up beating Friedrich. Friedrich says that he never thought he'd get to see his own heart in his lifetime. He then asks Eugen if he tells him that he let his guard down a bit if he would buy it. Eugen says he's not specialized in combat magic so he wouldn't know, but if he says so he'll believe him. Friedrich laughs, saying that seeing him being so snarky proves that he's Ui Hyuk's student alright. Eugen says that he still remembers it, one gesture from him, and the city crumbled, and the screams of people burning remains implanted in him. He's someone who shouldn't be allowed to use magic, so he's going to have to end the life of the mage Friedrich right here. Friedrich tells him to go ahead, and act all high and mighty as he's earned that right. He has won this time. He uses the last remains of his mana to cut off Eugen's arm, severing his own heart. He tells Eugen to take a souvenir for himself. Eugen says that this dude is insane right before cutting off his own heart. He pumped all of the heart's mana into his bloodstream at once. He starts absolutely tweaking. He yells out for someone named Shari. And Eugen realizes that he's dangerous. He goes to finish the job, but a hand stretches out of a portal above. While pulling him into it, they also cut Eugen into chunks, causing him to fall onto the floor. They reappear a little off in the distance, and Eugen says that's spatial magic. A woman appears asking what happened, as he was meant to go meet Ui Hyuk, but that monster he's fighting isn't the Grand Mage. She just wants to know what the hell happened, but she'll escort him straight back home. Friedrich tells her to hold on a second. Thanks to this fight he's added some realizations, and as thanks there's something he wants to test out. Eugen begins to close the gap once more, and stretches his hand out towards him as Friedrich's casting a new type of spell, which is third circle magic, combining multiple third circles into one. He shoots it out as it flies past Eugen's face. Friedrich says he doesn't say this often, but he's grateful towards him as he had an unexpected haul. He'll set up a bigger stage next time though, and they can have a proper rematch later. He laughs while leaving as Eugen wipes blood off of his face. Something we've never seen before, as he usually doesn't even bleed. Aine asks if it's over because he just ran away, and that means that he actually did it. He beat the strongest mage, which she thought would be impossible without borrowing a Grand Mage's power. He Stretch Armstrong his leg to get up the cliff, saying that luck was on his side as he let his guard down. He's glad that it ended before the time was up. I wonder what that means. Aine asks what he means by let his guard down. There's no way that old bastard would admit defeat so easily. She knew Eugen was amazing, but she wants to know more about the Murin magic. Eugen tells her that the things that he can do, and even beyond that, he'll make sure she can do them too. As the disciple of the greatest Grand Mage, he'll make her the second greatest Grand Mage. Until then, he needs her to promise that she won't get into trouble like today, and that she'll cherish her life. She smiles, saying that this guy hasn't changed a bit since she was a child, and she calls him teacher while they pinky promise. Meanwhile, at a house, we hear someone on the phone saying that Friedrich has appeared. They investigated massive battle traces on a mountain outside Seoul, and fortunately no civilian casualties were reported. They go to tell him about the opponent, and he says it was probably Aine. Since she went after all, even if he'd known, he wonders if he could have stopped her. He doesn't need her to prove it with her life as a father, but before he finishes that sentence they apologize for interrupting him, saying that during the fight between Aine and Friedrich, Eugen appeared. He freezes up as the person tells him that Friedrich fled, and Aine is unharmed, and it's none other than Ui Hyuk asking if Eugen is really back. If you've watched till the end, comment, Sour Patch Kids, to let me know. Subscribe for more videos like this, leave a like or a comment to help the channel out. Thanks for watching.